Good morning, students. In the last class, we were discussing about pituitary gland, where we have studied about what we have studied in the last class. Pituitary gland. We have studied it. We have, and the pituitary gland is divided into anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. And anterior pituitary, it is also called as adenohypophysis, and posterior pituitary is called as neurohypophysis. And adenohypophysis, it is having two regions, pars distalis and pars intermedia, and neurohypophysis is also called as pars nervosa. And pars in distalis, it secretes mainly 6 types of hormones. They are growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, and prolactin. Along with that, we have also studied the pars intermedia region secretes an hormone called as melanocyte stimulating hormone. This melanocyte stimulating hormone, mainly, what is the main function? It helps in pigmentation. In the light time, okay, during the light, the secretion of melanin pigment is more, and in the dark, the secretion of melanin pigment is less. Okay, and if the amount of melanin is more, the person is having darker shade. If the melanin pigment is less, that means the person will be having lighter shade. Okay, then we have studied, coming to pars nervosa, it mainly secretes 2 types of hormones which are there: vasopressin and oxytocin. And vasopressin, it is also called as anti-diuretic hormone. And what is the main function of vasopressin? It helps to absorb the water and the electrolyte from the distal part of the renal tubule. Okay, that is why it is also called as anti-diuretic hormone. In case of hyposecretion of anti-diuretic hormone, which disease is caused? Diabetes insipidus. Okay, that means there is excess of loss of urine due to the problem in the reabsorption of water. The excess of water will be lost from the body. Correct? Then we are coming to oxytocin. Oxytocin, what is the main function? It acts on the smooth muscles, especially in case of females during the parturition. It mainly acts on the wall of uterus, and due to the vigorous contraction of uterus, due to the vigorous contraction of uterus, the parturition or the delivery of the baby takes place. Clear? Okay. Then vasopressin is secreted by the it is mainly synthesized in which region of the endocrine gland? Hypothalamus. Which cell secretes or which nucleus secrete vasopressin? Supraoptic nuclei. Then oxytocin, it is synthesized by paraventricular nuclei of hypothalamus, and mainly they are synthesized there and they pass along the axon of the nuclei and they are secreted by the neurons. Okay, to the posterior pituitary. This is what we have studied in the last class. Coming to the next gland, that is pineal gland. Where this pineal gland is located? Dorsal side of forebrain. Okay, next to pituitary gland. Next to pituitary gland, we have pineal gland. Why it is is named as pineal gland? Because it looks like the size, it has a structure similar to the pines. Okay, pine cone anta heltevalla. Pine, it has a similar structure to the pine cone. That is why it is called as pineal gland. Okay, and this pineal gland secretes only one type of hormone. The pineal gland in matade onde tarada hormone anna secrete ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, which is that hormone? Very good, melatonin. And this melatonin mainly it regulates the rhythm of the body, 24 hours rhythm of the body. Their main function is it regulates 24-hour rhythm of the body. Now, what is this 24-hour rhythm? What does it include? Which are the complete 24-hour rhythm of the body? Yes, it regulates sleep and wake cycle, body temperature. We are speaking about the function. It also regulates the body temperature. Body temperature, metabolic reaction, pigmentation. It regulates pigmentation, especially in the region of eye. Okay, pigmentation, melatonin, especially in the region of eye. I'll tell you how exactly it helps in the pigmentation. Coming to next one, that is in the female, the menstrual cycle. The regular cycle of 28 days that is regulated, that is also regulated by pineal gland, that is by the help of hormone called as melatonin. I repeat, pineal gland, mainly it is located at the dorsal side of our forebrain and it secretes an hormone called as melatonin. Mainly, the function of melatonin is it regulates 24-hour rhythm of the body. Now, what is this 24-hour? The changes that is taking place in the body. That includes 24-hour rhythm of the body. Where it includes sleep and wake cycle. Generally, a healthy human will be having 12 hours of sleep and remaining the wake cycle. Clear? Where exactly the person after 8 hours, according to science we say or psychology we say, after 8 hours there is the activation of biological clock or the melatonin where we wake up suddenly after 8 hours. That is how it maintains the sleep and wake cycle. Then it regulates the body temperature. We know we are homeothermous, that means we maintain the constant body temperature. We regulate the body temperature that is maintained by melatonin. Clear? Then we have the body chemical reaction, the complete chemical reaction taking place in the body. It might be anabolism or it might be catabolism. All that will be regulated by melatonin. Along with that, a small amount of pigmentation, along with the melanocyte MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone, melatonin also plays a role in pigmentation. Generally, more melatonin is secreted in the dark condition. Okay, the dark, your dark time, without the light, whenever you're not exposed to the light, the number of melatonin secreted will be more. Okay, when it will be stopped or when it will be inhibited, when the light falls on the eye, okay, especially to the retina region, light absorb adaga, the retinal neuron sends the signal, it gets activated. Attaktidya, yavaga ee melatonin secretion ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ in the dark condition. Okay, dark time ಅಲ್ಲಿ when the light is not exposed, ಯಾವಾಗ light expose ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ? ಮಲಗಿರುವಾಗ, dark condition, ಅದು ಕತ್ಲೆ ಇರುವಾಗ. During that time, what happens? The secretion of melatonin increases. During the light time, light absorb ಆದಾಗ, when the light is focused on the eye, the retinal neuron gets activated and it sends the signal to pineal gland to inhibit the secretion of melatonin. That is why melatonin is mainly produced more in the darker condition and less in the light condition. But it is exactly opposite to melanocytes. Melanin is secreting in opposite condition. Light alli ಜಾಸ್ತಿ secrete ಆಗ್ತದೆ, dark alli ಕಡಿಮೆ secrete ಆಗ್ತದೆ. That is how they maintain that dark and light cycle. Okay, that is how it is regulated. Okay, darkness ಮತ್ತೆ light ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Clear? Okay. Then coming to in the female, every 28 hours, along, it is not only the melatonin. It is not only melatonin. There are other hormones along with us, but melatonin also take part to help in the regulating or to maintain the 28 hours menstrual, 28 days menstrual cycle. Clear? Clear with this? This is about the pineal gland. Okay, and pineal gland is also called as biological clock of the body. Is it clear? Okay. Coming to the next gland. Okay, coming to the next gland, that is thyroid gland. Where this thyroid gland is located? On either side of the trachea. Okay, then we have thyroid gland. Who will be regulating this thyroid gland for the secretion? Yes, pituitary gland secretes a hormone called as thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid stimulating hormone will be acting on thyroid gland, and thyroid gland will be secreting the hormones from the thyroid gland. Is that clear? But regulation is done by pituitary gland. Okay, if anything has to be secreted from the thyroid gland, the signal has to be sent from pituitary gland. Okay, now coming to thyroid gland, we all know that it is present in the either side of trachea. Okay, on both left and right side of the trachea, there is the oval shaped or the butterfly shaped gland present on either side of the trachea. And so this thyroid gland, it is the largest endocrine gland. Okay, thyroid gland is the largest endocrine gland in our body. It is the largest endocrine gland. Between this thyroid gland, since it is present on either side of trachea, between this oval or the oval shaped gland on either side, it is mainly connected by a connective tissue called as isthmus. Okay, we have thyroid gland. We have two lobes of thyroid gland on either side of trachea, and that two lobes are connected by a connective tissue, and it is called as isthmus. Okay, in simple, the lobes of thyroid gland are connected by a connective tissue called as isthmus. Okay, is that clear? Here we have two lobes of thyroid gland, and both the lobes are connected by a connective tissue called as isthmus. Coming back to thyroid gland. Thyroid glands are made up of follicular cells and stromal tissues. What are they made up of? Follicular cell and the stromal tissue. Okay, thyroid gland, it is made up of follicular cell and the stromal tissue. Okay, this inside the follicular cells, okay, there is a semi-liquid like composition, okay, which is called as colloids, or the jelly-like substance called as colloids. Inside the follicular cells, there is a jelly-like substance, or there is a opening. It is called as colloids, and the follicular cells are the one which secretes hormone, and that hormone which is secreted will be stored in this colloids. Is that clear? Thyroid gland is made up of a cell called as follicular cell and stromal tissues. Okay, here there will be number of cells present, and in between the tissues are called as stromal tissues. Now these cells, they produce hormones, follicular cells. Inside the follicular cell, what do they have? They have a jelly-like substance, and it is called as colloids. And in that colloids, the hormones which are secreted will be stored. Since it is the largest gland in the endocrine gland, it stores more number of hormones. And whenever the body requires this hormone, it will be secreted from the colloids. Here, from the colloids, the hormones which are stored will be released whenever our body requires that hormone. Now, Coming to which are start there. Repeat my way. Okay, coming to thyroid gland, it mainly secretes two types of hormones. The follicular cells of thyroid gland mainly secretes two types of hormones. Which are the hormones? Thyroxine, triiodothyronin and tetraiodothyronin. Triiodothyronin is also called as T3 and tetraiodothyronin is also called as T4 or thyroxine. Okay, there are mainly two types of hormones secreted by the thyroid gland. One is called as triiodothyronin and other is tetraiodothyronin. Where triiodothyronin is designated as T3 and tetraiodothyronin is designated as T4. And tetraiodothyronin is also called as thyroxine. Among these two hormones, that is triiodothyronin or the tetraiodothyronin are more efficient or more potent. Okay, they are more. Triiodothyronin is more efficient or they are more potential or functional. Okay, when compared to tetraiodothyronin. That is why these tetraiodothyronin, they are synthesized in the thymus. When they move to the different organ, the peripheral organ, for example like liver. Okay, when they move to the liver, in the liver, the T4 will be converted into T3. Okay, because they are more efficient and more potent. Here, thyroid gland, the follicular cells mainly secrete two types of hormones. One is triiodothyronin and then tetraiodothyronin. And tetraiodothyronin is also called as thyroxine. And triiodothyronin is more efficient when compared to tetraiodothyronin. That is why in the liver or in the different organ when it moves, the T4 is converted into T3. That is tetraiodothyronin is converted into triiodothyronin. Is it clear? Okay. Now coming to the secretion, what happens? And you know both the hormones, they are nothing but the iodinated form of amino acid thyronin. They are in simple. These both the hormones are nothing but they are the amino acid. Which amino acid? Thyronin. Along with the thyronin, what it has? Iodine. Okay, they are iodinated form of the amino acid thyronin. Is it clear? Both the hormones, they are a kind of amino acid, thyronin. Along with the thyronin, what do they have? Iodine. Okay, that is why iodine is very, very essential here. They are very, very essential for the formation of these hormones. Their intake of iodine should be more. Okay, to produce enough hormones because they are in simple amino acid along with the iodine. Simple agi helbekadre ಒಂದು amino acid, thyronin amino acid ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಆಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ? Iodine ಆಗಿದೆ. Clear alva? That is why iodine is important, essential component, okay, for the formation of these hormones. Now, what happens if the intake, if there is iodine deficiency? Iodine deficiency again up to there. Hypothyroidism. What is the meaning of hypothyroidism?
Enlargement of thyroid gland.
Yes. Hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism. That is less secretion of the hormones. Okay, when the hormones are secreted in the less quantity, when there is iodine deficiency. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
What happens when there is iodine deficiency? The amount of these hormones produced will be less. If the hormones are produced even less or more, that leads to deficiency or the disorders. Okay, here mainly due to the less secretion of hormone, that leads to hypothyroidism. If the hormone is secreted more, then that leads to hyperthyroidism. But here, first case is due to iodine deficiency. Okay, due to iodine deficiency, the hormones secreted will be, the number of hormones secreted will be less. That leads to hypothyroidism. Is that clear? Now, what happens when it leads to iodine deficiency or when the person is having hypothyroidism? That leads to yes, and simple goiter. Okay, we call that disorder as simple goiter. What is the simple goiter? That leads to enlargement of very good thyroid gland. Due to less secretion or deficiency of iodine in that is hypothyroidism, that leads to simple goiter. What is the simple goiter? That leads to enlargement of thyroid gland. Okay, only enlargement of thyroid gland. Yes, weight increases and also in different conditions. For example, in case of pregnancy, the baby will be directly affected if the female is having iodine deficiency. Okay, if the woman is having pregnant woman is having iodine deficiency, that is hypothyroidism, it is directly affecting the mental health of the baby. Okay, mental as well as the physical health of the baby. How exactly it will be affecting the physical health of the baby? Yes, in case of pregnancy mainly. In case of pregnancy, it will affect the baby directly. It will be affecting the baby. How? By very good stunt growth, low IQ, intelligent quotient, and abnormal skin. That is why during the pregnancy, the female will be given the iodine tablets. Okay, iodine follicles tablets capsules that is because less iodine that will be directly affecting the health of the baby. Now coming to excessive secretion of iodine. Okay, that leads to hyperthyroidism. If you want to sleep, you can get out of the class and sleep. Coming to hyperthyroidism, that means excess secretion of iodine. Okay, excess secretion of iodine mainly leads to hyperthyroidism. It is also affecting the middle-aged female. Generally, thyroid hormones directly affect the female and also male. Okay, but most probably when we look at the ratio, the female will be highly affected when compared to male. Coming to hyperthyroidism, what is also called as exophthalmic goiter. Now, what happens in exophthalmic goiter? Yes, it also leads to enlargement of thyroid gland. Okay, enlargement of thyroid gland and weight loss. These are the main symptoms. Okay, weight loss. Yes, and also the protruding eyeballs. Okay, and the eye will be enlarged and there will be protrudement. Now, and their body metabolism increases. That is why mainly the person will be having weight loss. Okay, they have increased metabolic rate. Their metabolic rate increases. And coming to the function, the main function, it is important. What are the functions of thyroid gland? Yes, main function is thyroid gland. It helps in the formation of RBC. Formation of RBC or the process of erythropoiesis. lipopoiesis. Yes, coming to the next function, which is the next function of thyroid gland. Yes, it is involved in the metabolism. Okay, it does carbohydrate metabolism, protein and fat metabolism. It is mainly involved in the metabolism of carbohydrates, metabolism of proteins and fat. Coming to the next function, they help in the calcium metabolism. It is not thyroid gland directly involving in the calcium metabolism, but between the follicular cells, there are cells called as C cells, or it is also called as. Now this is the follicular cells. These are the follicular cells. Between that, there are specialized cells which are called as C cells. In the thyroid gland, along with the follicular cells, they have the special cells called as C cells, or it is also called as parafollicular cells. These C cell or the parafollicular cells, they secrete an hormone called as calcitonin. What do they secrete? They secrete an hormone called as calcitonin. And this calcitonin mainly helps in calcium metabolism. What do they do? This calcitonin mainly helps in calcium metabolism. Now, how this calcitonin helps in calcium metabolism? Okay, here in the blood, when the amount of calcium increases, okay, now consider the blood, the amount of calcium is more here. When the amount of calcium is more, the thyroid gland secretes calcitonin. This calcitonin will deposit this calcium from the blood to bone. Okay, it will take all the most of the calcium, excess of calcium from the blood, and it will all stored in the bone. It is all deposited in the bone. Okay, that is why this calcitonin is also called as hypocalcemic hormone. Okay, calcitonin is also called as hypocalcemic hormone. Calcitonin is also called as hypocalcemic hormone because if the calcium is more in the blood, the calcium will be deposited to the bone by this calcitonin. Okay, calcitonin can also be mentioned as thyrocalcitonin, in the short form TCT. Okay, in your question papers generally, in your competitive part question papers, they will not mention calcitonin directly. They can mention it as TCT, that is thyrocalcitonin. TCT is nothing but thyrocalcitonin. Okay, where calcitonin, it is hypocalcemic hormone. Okay, calcitonin is hypocalcemic hormone. That is, it reduces the calcium level in the blood. Okay, blood alli calcium level increase ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು reduce ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರು? Calcitonin or thyrocalcitonin. That is why we say the function of thyroid gland is also to maintain the calcium balance. Okay, it is not only thyrocalcitonin, we have other hormone also, but just for now keep in mind we have thyrocalcitonin that helps in calcium metabolism. I repeat, coming to thyroid gland, it is present on either side of trachea and they are made up of, they are the largest endocrine gland and they are made up of follicular cells and the stromal cells, and the follicular cells consist of the jelly substance called as colloid where the hormones are stored. And mainly there are two hormones secreted, one is triiodothyronin and the other one is tetraiodothyronin, where tetraiodothyronin is also called as thyroxine. Then when we compare these two hormones, triiodothyronin is more efficient when compared to tetraiodothyronin. And now in these tetraiodothyronins, they are synthesized in the T4 forms, but they get converted into T3 forms in the liver. Coming to the main function, that these are amino acid. Okay, these hormones are amino acid along with the iodine. That is why if there is any iodine deficiency, that leads to hypothyroidism. Okay, what is hypothyroidism? Due to less secretion of deficiency of iodine, that leads to the reduction of formation of hormones. This hypothyroidism mainly causes the simple goiter, okay, that is enlargement of thyroid gland and the weight gain and also what? In pregnancy what happens? It will be directly affecting the health of the baby. Okay, that is your physical health will be affected by stunted growth and mental health will be affected by low IQ, and they also have abdominal skin. Then in the middle age woman also it will be affecting, where there will be affecting the menstrual cycle. Directly it affects the cycle of the menstruation, okay, in the females. Then coming to excess secretion of iodine, that leads to hyperthyroidism, and the condition is called as exothalamic goiter. It leads to enlargement of thyroid gland, and the person will be having high metabolic rate and also protruding eyes and the weight loss. Okay, these are the main symptoms, and this is all together, it is also called as Graves' disease. Then we have discussed, along with the follicular cells, there are cells called as C cell or parafollicular cells, which secretes a hormone called as calcitonin, which is also called as thyrocalcitonin or TCT. They are, whenever there is increase in the calcium level in the blood, our thyroid gland secrete thyrocalcitonin, which will deposit all the calcium from the blood to bone. That is why they are also called as hypocalcemic hormones. And these thyroid hormones, they also help in formation of RBC, red blood cell formation, helper. Okay, coming to the next gland, we'll be studying about parathyroid gland. Okay, in the thyroid gland itself, there are two pairs of other small glands present. We call it as parathyroid glands. Next gland we have yes, we all know that where the parathyroid gland is located on the trachea, but on the dorsal side of the trachea. Okay. Parathyroid gland. Where this parathyroid gland is located? In the back row? Thyroid gland. Okay, on the thyroid gland, on the dorsal side, the parathyroid gland is located. If this is the dorsal side of thyroid gland, we have one pair each on the thyroid gland. Total we have two pairs of parathyroid gland, which is located on the thyroid gland. One pair is located on each lobe. Okay, since we have two lobes in the thyroid gland, one pair is located on each lobe. Is that clear? Okay. Coming to the next one, the hormone secreted by the parathyroid gland is parathyroid hormones. Okay, or parathyroid hormone, or in simple parathyroid hormone, that is PTH. Parathyroid hormone. This is a simple gland. parathyroid. It secretes an hormone called as parathyroid hormone, or it can be mentioned as PTH. Okay, PTH. Mainly this parathyroid hormone. You know, in parathyroid hormone, where is it located? On the dorsal side of trachea, and in each lobe we have one pair of parathyroid gland. Totally we have two pairs of parathyroid glands. And their secretion, what type of hormone is it secreting? Parathyroid hormone, which is also called as PTH. Clear? Okay. Mainly, the function of this hormone is it regulates the calcium level in the body. Okay, it mainly regulates. What is the function? Regulates the calcium and phosphate. Calcium and phosphate. Okay. Level in the body. Repeat. Parathyroid hormone, it mainly regulates the calcium and the phosphate level in the body. Now, it has antagonistic function or opposite function to thyrocalcitonin. Now, what was the function of thyrocalcitonin in the blood? If the calcium increases, it is to deposit it into bone. Correct? This was a function of thyrocalcitonin. That means it was hypocalcemic hormone. Is it clear? Hypocalcemic hormone. Now coming to parathyroid hormone, that is PTH. It has opposite function to thyrocalcitonin. That means if there is reduced secretion of calcium, or the amount of, if the blood consists of less calcium. Now what does it do? It receives or it takes up the calcium from the bones. What does it do? It takes up the calcium from the bones and it will be transporting it into blood. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಬೋನಿಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಥೈರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್, ಇಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ದ it takes the calcium from the bone. Required amount of calcium is taken from the bone and it will be secreting it into blood, and the process is called as demineralization or dissolution or ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ 1 marks ಗೆ demineralization. Main function of parathyroid hormone is dissolution. DISSOLUTION, dissolution or demineralization. Yes, what is demineralization? Here, the taking up of the calcium from the bone and depositing it into blood. It is called as demineralization or dissolution. Clear? It is not only from the bone. Parathyroid hormone, it does not only absorb the calcium from the bone. Along with that, the calcium is also absorbed from the, which one? The renal tubules. Okay, calcium is also absorbed from the renal tubules and from the digested food. Okay, food digestion aada nantara, while absorption, the calcium is also moving to blood. Okay, that is, which one will be helping? That is parathyroid hormones. Okay, now since it increases the level of calcium in the blood, these hormones are called as, this decreases the level of calcium in the blood, that is why hypocalcemic. Since this increases the calcium level in the blood, yes, they are called as hypercalcemic hormone. It is important for 1 marks. It is repeated 1 marks question. Okay, parathyroid hormone is also called as hypercalcemic hormone, and thyrocalcitonin, it is called as hypocalcemic hormone. I repeat, parathyroid hormone, what is the main function? It regulates the calcium and phosphate level in the blood. When it takes up the calcium from the, how it regulates the phosphate is, when it takes up the calcium from the blood, it helps to throw the potassium and phosphate. Okay, potassium and the phosphate along with the excretory waste, it will be thrown outside. Yeah, now due to the excess absorption of calcium. Okay, okay. Coming to parathyroid hormone, their main function is they maintain the calcium balance. Okay, how do they maintain this calcium balance here? Whenever there is less calcium in the blood, it absorbs the calcium from the bone. Okay, that process is called as dissolution or demineralization. It is not only from the bone, along with that the calcium will be absorbed by the renal tubules, and also it is absorbed by the digestive food. Okay, food digestion of the food it the calcium absorb and that is why since it increases the level of calcium in the blood calcium kadime adaga blood calcium increase madodrinda, this hormone is also called as hypercalcemic hormone. Okay, why it is called as hypercalcemic hormone? Because it increases the level of calcium in the blood. Clear? This is about the parathyroid hormones. In exam, if they ask, which are the hormones that help in calcium metabolism? You have to answer parathyroid hormone plus thyrocalcitonin. If you write any one also, it is not correct. Okay, it is just half marks. You have to mention both parathyroid hormone and thyrocalcitonin, because the question is asked which helps calcium metabolism maintain ಮಾಡೋದು balance ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದು help ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? Both are required. It is not only one. One the hormones ಸಾಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. It requires both the hormones, that is parathyroid hormone and thyrocalcitonin. That is why the question is asked, you are supposed to write both parathyroid hormone and thyrocalcitonin. Clear? Okay. Coming to the next gland, that is thymus. Thymus. Next gland we have thymus. Is it clear? You want me to repeat any gland? We have studied 4 glands. 4 items. We have studied pituitary gland, pineal, thyroid and parathyroid. If you want me to repeat, then ask. Repeat and hypothalamus. We are done with hypothalamus. You want me to repeat anything? Clear? Okay. Then coming to next hormone, that is thymus. Okay? Where this thymus is located? Which is present below the lungs. That is below our chest bone. Which is the chest bone? Sternum. In our chest bone, that is sternum. Okay, it is a lobular structure present between the lungs. Okay, or it is a lobe-like structure that is present between the lungs, very next to the sternum. Okay, sternum this is chest bone, and then we have lungs. Between that chest bone and the lungs, the lobular structure present, we call it as thymus. Okay, and this thymus, it secretes a hormone called as thymosin. Thymus. It secretes a hormone called as thymosin. I'm just discussing the theory part. Neat part ಯಾವುದು ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಈ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Just theory part ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Clear ಅಲ್ವಾ? Neat ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ ತುಂಬಾ. But first theory complete ಮಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ then we'll discuss about neat. Okay? Coming to thymosin, it secretes a hormone called as thymosin. Coming to the major function of this thymosin. Yes, they help in the immune response. Mainly thymosin hormones, they help in the immune response. We know which are the cells of immunity. We have lymphocytes, T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. We have lymphocytes, we have T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. This thymosin mainly it helps in the maturation of T lymphocyte. Okay, what is the main function? It helps in the maturation of T lymphocytes. Mainly the maturation takes place in the spleen. Okay, spleen ಮತ್ತು liver ಅಲ್ಲಿ maturation ಆಗ್ತದೆ. That maturation will be helped by this thymosin. Okay, this thymosin, its main function is it helps in immune response. What is this immune response? If there is any foreign body that is entering our body, our immune system recognizes it and it starts fighting against it. Am I clear? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಮಗೆ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಫೀವರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು? ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೀವರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರೋಗ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಅದು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಗರ್ಭಗಳು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಆ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ? ಜ್ವರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯೂನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಹಾಗಂತ ನಾವು ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಅದು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ತುಂಬಾ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡಬಾರ್ದು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಓಕೆ, to one point the body temperature increases, that means our immune system is responding. Clear alva? Okay, coming back to thymosin, it mainly helps in the maturation of T lymphocyte, and T lymphocytes we know it is involved in cell mediated immunity. That means cells are responsible for immunity here. Okay, T lymphocytes ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, they are mainly they show cell mediated immunity. What is the meaning of cell mediated immunity? In immunity mainly two types ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು cell mediated, ಒಂದು humoral mediated. ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಾ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಲಿಂಫೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಬಿ ಲಿಂಫೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ? humoral immunity or mediated immunity. Here the cells are responsible, immune cells are responsible, they are responding, so we call it a cell mediated immunity. The T lymphocytes maturation help ಮಾಡೋದು thymosin, and thymosin gives cell mediated immunity. Along with that, it also helps in the formation of B lymphocytes. Where the B lymphocytes are formed? In the blood, ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ? Plasma, plasma, really globulins ali delta globulins, they are involved in the formation of antibody. What are these antibodies? B lymphocytes alva ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾನು ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ, ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಾ ಕಲಿವಾಗ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಕಲಿವಾಗ ಗ್ಲೋಬ್ಯುಲಿನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡೀಸ್. ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಬಿ ಲಿಂಫೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಅದ್ರ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಯಾವುದು? thymosin. That means thymosin shows both cell mediated immunity and humoral mediated immunity. Humoral ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ blood. Okay, that is why we call it as humoral mediated immunity. Is that clear? ಇಷ್ಟ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇದು, ಎರಡೇ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರೋದು. thymosin ಯಾವ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, one is for the maturation of T lymphocyte that leads to cell mediated immunity, formation of B lymphocyte that leads to humoral mediated immunity or humoral immunity. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? Very simple. Thymus, where is it located? Above the lungs, in front of the lungs, below the sternum, okay, or in the junction of aorta, ventral portion of aorta na unde, okay, front portion of aorta, and it secretes an hormone called as thymosin. The hormone secreted is thymosin. Mainly thymosin are involved in the immune response. How they are involved in the immune response? By giving maturation for the T lymphocyte that leads to cell-mediated immunity, and by formation, it helps in the formation of B lymphocyte that leads to humoral immunity. Since they help in the immune response, okay, they are called as cells of immunity, T lymphocytes. And since it is present in the blood, we call it as humoral immunity. Is that clear? Now, the size of thymus as our age increases, okay, age increase ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗೆ the size of thymus decreases. Okay, size of thymus decrease ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. Thymus in size ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. Clear ಅಲ್ವಾ? That is why as the age increases, ನಮ್ಮ immune power ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ? Decrease ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ, because they are the one which is mainly involved in the immune response. And when the size goes on decreasing, okay, when it is completely decreased, we will be losing our immune power and the person will die, because the person will be prone to infection. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಜ್ಜಿಯನ್ನ ಒಂದೇ ಜಾತ್ರೆಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೇವೆ, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ರೋಗ ಬರೋದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ? ಅವರಿಗೆ, because their immune system, their immune power is less. Why their immune power is less? Because of reduced thymus. Okay, as the age increases, the size of thymus decreases. That is why the old age people, they have less immunity. Okay, their immune power is less. Clear now? Okay. Okay? That doesn't increase the size of thymus. Okay? ಯಾವುದು thymus size increase ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, they just give, they are immune boosters. They are just immune boosters. They cannot increase the size of thymus. Here we complete with the 6 glands. Which are the 6 glands you have studied? Hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, and thymus. Coming to the next gland, that is adrenal gland. Next gland we have adrenal gland. Where this adrenal gland is located? Where? Above the kidney. Okay. There is one pair of adrenal gland that is located above the kidney, and this is a pyramid-shaped gland. Adrenal gland. It is a pyramid-shaped gland which is located above the kidney. Above the kidney, there is a pyramid-shaped gland that is located. It is called as adrenal gland. Okay? How many kidneys do we have? 2 or 1 pair. On that kidney, we have 1 pair of adrenal gland located. And this adrenal gland, mainly it is divided into 2 regions, or it has 2 regions. The outer region is called as adrenal cortex, and the inner region is called as adrenal medulla. And adrenal cortex is derived from the mesoderm. It is derived from the mesoderm layer, and adrenal medulla, ectoderm layer. It is derived from the ectoderm. Yes, it is derived from the ectoderm. Okay, adrenal gland. Mainly, it has adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla, and adrenal cortex is derived from the mesoderm, and the adrenal medulla, it is derived from the ectoderm. Is it clear? Okay. Now, coming to the adrenal medulla, first we will speak about adrenal medulla. It secretes mainly 2 types of hormones. Adrenal medulla secretes mainly 2 types of hormones. They are adrenaline and noradrenaline. adrenaline and noradrenaline. Okay, adrenal gland, it is mainly divided into two regions. The outer region is called as adrenal cortex and the inner region is called as adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex is derived from the mesodermal layer and adrenal medulla is derived from the endoderm. So first coming to adrenal medulla, it secretes a hormone called as adrenaline or noradrenaline, or it is also called as epinephrine. Adrenaline is also called as epinephrine and noradrenaline is also called as norepinephrine. Adrenaline is also called as epinephrine, noradrenaline is also called as norepinephrine. Togetherly, they are called as catecholamines. Togetherly, they are called as catecholamines. These are important. Either adrenal cortex can be asked for 3 marks or adrenal medulla can be asked for 2 marks. Okay, any one question from the adrenal gland is repeatedly asked, either adrenal cortex or adrenal medulla. If they ask adrenal cortex, it will be asked for 3 marks. If they ask the question adrenal medulla, it will be asked for 2 marks. Adrenal medulla secretes 2 types of hormones which are there, adrenaline or noradrenaline or epinephrine or norepinephrine, because adrenaline is also called as epinephrine, noradrenaline is also called as norepinephrine. Is that clear? Togetherly, what are they called as? Catecholamines. They are called as catecholamines. Now coming to the function. When this adrenaline and the noradrenaline are secreted, they will be secreted together. Okay, both adrenaline and noradrenaline, they are secreted rapidly, continuously when the person is under stress. Okay, when the person is under stress, okay, person stress alirovaga, what happens? There is secretion of adrenaline and noradrenaline. Okay, that might be any kind of stress. That might be scared, baya agirbodu, or any stress. Okay, generally under any stress situation, our adrenal gland, that is adrenal medulla, secretes adrenaline and noradrenaline. And since they are secreted under the stress condition or during the emergency condition, they are also called as emergency hormone. Okay, they are also called as emergency hormone or hormone of fight or flight. Hormone of fight or flight. Why they are called as hormone, emergency hormone? Because in the emergency stress and emergency condition ಅಲ್ಲಿ secrete ಆಗೋದು. Why it is called as hormone of fight or flight? Because whenever we are fighting, ಯಾರು ನಗಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Whenever we fight, we'll be under stress ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತೇವೆ, we'll be under pressure. ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಜಗಳ ಆಡ್ತೇವೆ ಆಗ ಯಾರು ಖುಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬನ್ನಿ ಹೊಡೆದಾಡುವ ಅಂತ ಜಗಳ ಆಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ನಾವು ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತೇವೆ, ಬಾ ಹೊಡಿಲಿ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ಹೊಡಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುವ ಅಥವಾ ಬೈಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುವ, ಈಗ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತೇವೆ. ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್, ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ದೀಸ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೀಟೆಡ್, ಆ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೈಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಫೈಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಾಗ. ಫ್ಲೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುವಾಗ when the flight takes off, what happens? There will be sudden change. ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ನಾವು ಸಡನ್ ಬ್ರೀದಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ನಾವು ಆಲ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗ there is increase. Okay, and during that time also this hormone is secreted. Again ಯೂರಿನೇಷನ್ ಬರುವಾಗ ಫೀಲ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಭಯ ಆಗುವಾಗ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. Okay, that there will be urge for urination ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಹಾಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಪೇಪರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಬರುವಾಗ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಬೀಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಏನಾದ್ರು ಸ್ವೆಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಭಯ ಆದಾಗ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಾವಿನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ಭಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, suddenly you get goosebumps, that is piloerection. Okay, all these are the symptoms, all these are the because of the hormone secretion. Now you have to tell me what happens when these hormones are secreted. First one is yes, heart rate increases. Heart rate increases. Increase in the breath, but not in all the condition. Okay. Then ನೀವೊಂದು ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಹೀಗೆ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಕಣ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಎಸ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ಯೂಪಿಲರಿ dilation. ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಬೈದಾಗ ಹೀಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೈಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಕಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿ there will be pupillary, automatic pupillary dilation. What is pupillary dilation? Increase in the pupil. ನಮ್ಮ ಕಣ್ಣಿನ pupil ಇದರ diameter increase ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾರು ಹೀಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಬನ್ನಿ ಹೊಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕಣ್ಣು ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ, pupillary dilation. Yes, that is heart rate increases. Then sweating. Okay, sweat agi baya adaga we start sweating. Okay, then piloerection. What is piloerection?
Goosebumps.
Yes, getting goosebumps. Okay, piloerection. Okay, this piloerection is mainly because of erector pile muscles. Okay, erector pile muscles. They are the smooth muscles. When the hormones are released, the smooth muscles get activated and there will be piloerection. And it also increases the rate of respiration. Okay, that is breathing. It also increases the rate of respiration. Is this clear? ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಈಸಿ ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಓಕೆ, yes, that leads to increase in the heart rate, pupillary dilation when these hormones are secreted, that leads to sweating, piloerection, that is giving goosebumps, and there is increase in the rate of respiration. Is that clear? When this is taking place when the person is under stress. When the person is under stress, it also secretes catecholamines. Which are the catecholamines? Adrenaline and noradrenaline, or it is also called as epinephrine and norepinephrine. Is this clear? Okay, coming to catecholamines again, along with this, they also helps in breakdown of glycogen into glucose. Okay, what happens? They also help in breakdown of glycogen into glucose. What is that breaking down of glycogen? These catecholamines, they also have other function, that is conversion of glycogen into glucose. Generally it is done by which hormone? Glucagon. Mainly glucagon converts the glycogen, breaks the glycogen into glucose. These catecholamine also help in the conversion of glycogen into glucose. Okay, fight ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ. Okay, it requires glucose. Now this process, that is breakdown of glycogen into glucose, is called as glycogenolysis. There are different terms. Glyconeogenesis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ formation. Neogenesis is formation. Glycogenolysis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ breakdown. Here glucogenolysis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ glucose breakdown. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. glycogen lysis, breakdown of glycogen, glycogenolysis, that is breakdown of glycogen. Okay, glycogenesis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ formation of glycogen. Okay, glucogenesis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ formation of glucose. Okay, terms ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. lysis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ breakdown, genesis ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ formation. Glyco and gluco ಯಾವುದಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. Clear ಅಲ್ವಾ? Okay. They also help in the breakdown of glycogen into glucose, that is glycogenolysis. Is that clear? And also it helps in the breakdown of protein and lipid. Carbohydrates jothe it also help in the catecholamines. They also help in the breakdown of protein and lipids. This much you are supposed to write for 2 marks. 2 marks ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಇಷ್ಟು ಬರೀಬೇಕು. Name of the hormone, they call as catecholamines. In the stress condition it is secreted. These are the symptoms, and they also help in the breakdown of glucose, glycogen into glucose, proteins and lipids. Clear alva? This is about only adrenal medulla. Okay, this is only about adrenal medulla. Coming to the next one, that is about adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex. This is adrenal medulla inner part. We'll speak about adrenal cortex now. This adrenal cortex, mainly it is divided into 3 regions. Okay, adrenal cortex is divided into Adrenal cortex, mainly it is divided into three regions, which are there: zona, glomerulosa. This is important for 3 marks. And next region, zona fasciculata. And zona reticularis. Zona reticularis. Okay, repeat which are the three? Zona? Tadu? Tadu? Podica region. Cortex region, it is mainly divided into one question Adrenal cortex, it is mainly divided into 3 regions. Outermost region is called as zona glomerulosa, outermost region. Then middle region we have zona fasciculata, and then zona reticularis is the inner region. And these 3 regions secretes an hormone, they are called as corticoids. They are called as corticoids. Okay, generally the hormone secreted. Muru region in the secrete other hormone are nautically called as corticoids. There are mainly 2 types of corticoids secreted. One is glucocorticoids and one more is mineralocorticoids. Glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Sorry, glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Okay, these are the adrenal cortex, which has 3 regions. Which are the 3 regions? Zona glomerulosa, fasciculata, and zona reticularis. All these 3 they secrete an hormone. Together we call it as corticoids. Mainly 2 types of corticoids are secreted. One is glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. These glucocorticoids, they help in glucose metabolism. They help in glucose metabolism, and in human, one of the important major glucocorticoids present, it is called as cortisol. Important glucocorticoids present, it is called as cortisol. Okay, the corticoids, mainly 2 types of corticoids are produced. One is glucocorticoid and one is mineralocorticoids. Glucocorticoids, they are involved in the glucose metabolism, and main glucocorticoids present is cortisol. Coming to mineralocorticoids, it helps in water and salt balance or water and electrolyte balance. They are mainly involved in water and electrolyte balance. Water balance and electrolyte balance. The main important mineralocorticoids present are called as aldosterone. 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 Clear, Vishnu? Is it clear? Okay, coming to next one, the functions of one by one we'll see what is the function of glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid. Ishta artha aita? ಈ 3 ಝೋನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಕ್ರೀಟ್ ಆಗುವಂತ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಕಾರ್ಟಿಕಾಯ್ಡ್ಸ್. ಕಾರ್ಟಿಕಾಯ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಬೇರೆ ಟೈಪ್? Glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. Glucocorticoids helps in mainly glucose metabolism, and mineralocorticoids helps in water and electrolyte balance. A main glucocorticoid present is called as cortisol, and the mineralocorticoid present is aldosterone. Now first coming to glucocorticoids, they help in gluconeogenesis. Now tell me what is Gluconeogenesis.
Formation of glucose.
Very good. Gluconeogenesis, that is formation of glucose. The formation of glucose, that is breakdown of glycogen. By breakdown of glycogen or by synthesis, okay, the there is glucose formed. Okay, gluconeogenesis. Okay, what is gluconeogenesis? Nothing but formation. Since it is gluconeogenesis, formation of glucose. Okay, what we are studying now? Function of glucocorticoids. Okay, glucocorticoids mainly help in gluconeogenesis, that is formation of glucose. Is it clear? Along with the formation of glucose, glucocorticoids also help in breakdown of protein and lipids. Tell me, what is the first function of glucocorticoids? They help in gluconeogenesis, that is formation of glucose, and also breakdown of protein and lipids. And also breakdown of protein and lipids. And protein breakdown we can call it as proteolysis, and lipid breakdown we call it as lipolysis. In your textbook they have mentioned it as proteolysis and lipolysis. In simple, that is breakdown of protein and lipids. Proteolysis and lipolysis. Here. Okay, along with that, this glucocorticoids, they are also involved in inflammation reaction. What is inflammation? Accumulation of water, accumulation of liquid content. Our reaction anna suppress ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. Okay, they also involved in the inflammatory reaction and suppress immune response. They are involved in the inflammatory reaction. And when since they are involved in inflammatory reaction, they suppress immune response. Suppress immune response. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಆಗಿ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? And also they also help in RBC production. Okay, these corticoids, glucocorticoids, they are also helping in RBC production. Along with glucocorticoids, which are the hormones involved in RBC production? Along with the glucocorticoids, which one more hormone is involved? Thyroxine hormone. Okay, or thyroxine. Clear? Clear RBC production is clear? Okay, in the next class we'll study about mineralocorticoids, and small part is remaining about pancreas and gonads. In the next class we'll be completing with the chapter chemical control and coordination. Thank you.
Next class is